Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to talk about the flight we took earlier this year on United's business class from Chicago, Illinois, all the way over to Dublin, Ireland. We'll talk about our experience in the lounges, our experience on the plane, and what we thought of the flight overall. We made our way to Chicago's O'Hare Airport where we would start our journey. With United Business Class, you get a special check-in counter, and you also get fast-track security, which is always nice in O'Hare's Terminal 1. That's another nice thing we love about flying United out of Chicago O'Hare. Even if you're going internationally, you don't go to Terminal 5, which is typically the international terminal. Terminal 5 is extremely dated and just generally unpleasant to be in. Now that we were through security, we had to check out our lounge situation. If you're familiar with flying United domestically, you're probably familiar with United Club lounges. These are located at all of the United hubs, as well as some other airports. And generally, United customers will get some passes for lounge access. However, if you're flying United Polaris, which we were, which is generally just business class for United going internationally, you get access to the United Polaris Lounge. There aren't very many of these lounges, there's only a few of them, but boy are they spectacular. There's so much seating here, and many different types of seating, including tables, chairs, recliners, and even some lay-down beds. There's also a full-service bar and a buffet. However, we knew we had to take advantage of the a la carte dining option here. In the Polaris Lounge, there's basically a full-service restaurant, and the best part of it all is it's all free. We went through what was a pretty big menu and decided on a salad and burger. They were delicious. Of course, we had to finish this off with a great dessert. Cookies and ice cream.
There you go.
After enjoying our a la carte meal, we also had to check out what was on offer on the regular buffet. This is a typical buffet that you'd probably find in other lounges, and the offerings were pretty good. You had different types of hot and cold foods, as well as different types of drinks and alcohols. We tested out the Wi-Fi in this lounge as well and found that it was really fast. Perfect if you have to get some work done. Another nice thing about this lounge is that you get great views out to the apron. However, it was dark when we were here, so we didn't get very many views. As well as having a bar, a restaurant, and all different types of seating, the Polaris Lounge also has shower suites and amazing bathrooms. Probably the best ones in the airport. Unfortunately, our lounge time had to come to an end, and we made our way out to the gate. For this flight, we were taking an unusual plane, the Boeing 757 narrow-body jet. Generally, when you fly transatlantic, you'll be on a wide-body aircraft. We were curious to see exactly what the seat layout was in business class on this narrow-body jet. It really wasn't surprising to us when we got in that it was just a 2-2 configuration, by far the oldest type of configuration in the United fleet, and one that's being phased out in almost every other airline, especially for long-haul flights. We settled into seats 2E and 2F and enjoyed a pre-departure glass of champagne. The Polaris cabin is actually really smart, and it looks really nice. However, we just couldn't get over the 2-2 seating. It would take some getting used to after being in some of United's contemporaries' business class cabins. We took a moment to look at the amenity kit, which was a nice little luggage container by Away, and it contained several different Sunday Riley items. Overall, this is probably one of the better amenity kits that we've gotten on a business class flight. As we prepared for departure, we had to take a look at the menu for tonight, which had a bunch of different good offerings on it. However, by the time they got to row 2, they were already out of the steak. We both wanted it, but only one of us could have it. This was a bit confusing given that there were 4 more rows behind us that still had to order. The food was okay, it was decent, definitely not the best business class meal we've had. We did get a breakfast as well, but that was just heartburn city. Oh, and we forgot to mention that we did get dessert with our meal, which was a sundae. However, they definitely had it too cold and it was frozen solid. When we asked if we could get a different dessert, they were all out. Definitely an issue with catering on this flight. Now it was time to check out the IFE system and maybe get a few hours of shut-eye. There are several different movies and shows that you can watch, and there's a really good selection of audio and game options as well. Overall, this IFE system was really nice and very user-friendly. Of course, there's also a moving map that you can use to track your flight. After an amazing few hours of sleep in the Saks Fifth Avenue bedding and super comfortable pillow that they give you in business class, we woke up somewhere over the Atlantic. About an hour before landing, we were served breakfast, which was just okay, and honestly, gave me terrible heartburn. We glided over the beautiful Irish countryside before making our landing at the Dublin International Airport. As we wait for our luggage, let's reflect on what we thought of this flight. First, let's take a moment to reflect on the lounge experience. The United Polaris Lounge is by far one of the best lounges that we've ever been in, even surpassing British Airways lounges. The space is light and airy, there's plenty of seating all around, there's great Wi-Fi, a great bar, plenty of food at the buffet, and even an a la carte dining experience with a waitstaff. You really feel like you're someone special when you're in this lounge, and it's great for business class passengers. We definitely rate this lounge a 5 out of 5. Now let's talk a little bit about the food. First, let's talk about the food in the lounge. All of this food was amazing. There was a great selection at the buffet, and the a la carte dining options were great. There were only a few of them on offer, but the ones that they did were delicious. Now, when we get on the plane, the story is a little bit different. The steak was okay, and the other meals were just fine. To be honest, the breakfast really wasn't that good, and the dessert that we were served, well, it was inedible. It was frozen solid, and we weren't given another option. Not only that, but there seemed to be some major catering issues. We were only in the second row, and all of the beef meals were gone by the time they got to us, and you couldn't order ahead here. In the lounge, we rate the food very highly. Unfortunately, our experience on the plane brings the food rating down to a 3 out of 5. Now let's talk a little bit about the seats on this plane. Keeping in mind that we're in a bit of a different situation on the 757 versus a wide-body aircraft, we still don't like the 2-2 configuration. The seats themselves were comfortable, the bedding was extremely nice, and the IFE systems were great. The cabin felt new and fresh, and overall it was a good seat. We should also say that there was plenty of power and these were still lie-flat seats, which is great. But overall, the configuration makes us give these seats a 4 out of 5. Now we'll take a minute to talk about our experience with the service. Let's start with the lounge. The service in the lounge was impeccable. The bartender was great, and our servers during our a la carte dining experience were amazing. The lounge was clean, it was neat, and it was a great experience. On the plane, the story was a little bit different once again. Our steward was nice. However, there were moments where it just seemed like he didn't care about his job. When he was coming around asking us what we wanted for dinner, he was very short and wasn't all that friendly. And again, when we asked for another dessert because ours was frozen solid, he seemed annoyed. And he was nowhere to be found once the lights went off in the cabin. Unfortunately, all this leads to a 3 out of 5 for the service score. So now it comes down to the big question of value for money. It's no surprise that United Business Class is extremely expensive. However, on this flight, we booked it as a round trip, from Dublin to Chicago through Toronto on Air Canada, then from Chicago back to Dublin on this United flight. By doing this, we were able to get a price of about $922 per person for this one-way leg of the flight. Overall, that's not a terrible price considering some of the other prices you have to pay for United Business Class, especially the Polaris product. So I guess it comes down to, it's a great value for money if you can find deals like this. We did it through Chase Travel's portal, which was actually really nice, and we really weren't able to replicate this price when we went to the actual airline's website. Overall, we had a decent experience on the Polaris product. The Polaris Lounge, by far, is the best lounge we've ever been in. The airline product, however, was not that great. The seats were comfortable, and the bedding was great, but you get that on any United product. The 757 is not an ideal plane to fly transatlantic on. We will be flying United once again on the 787 Dreamliner from Munich back to Chicago later this year, so hopefully we have a better experience with that. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.